Hey party people, I am teaching a pattern making class on my Patreon, and if you want to sign up, just go to patreon.com/Zoe Hong and select the pattern making class tier. And I'll drop a link in the description box below. But first of all, let me tell you a little bit about the class. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Zoe Hong, and I have over 20 years experience in the fashion industry. And I taught at two universities for a combined 6 years. And now I teach everywhere. I teach at schools, I teach on YouTube, I teach on Patreon. Now I'm starting a Patreon pattern making class, and I bring to that class my own experiences from fashion school and my experiences in the industry and having my own line and making patterns for my own line. And with that said, I don't know how other people teach pattern making on the internet, wherever, but the way I plan to teach my pattern making class, the end goal is for designers to be able to draft patterns for whatever design they want. I know that some people, they'll teach something like how to draft a strappy sundress. And it's like T-length and it's got buttons and stuff like that. And they teach you how to draft the whole thing. That's not how I plan on teaching my class. I will teach you components. So for example, I'll teach you how to do a skirt block. I'll teach you what blocks are. And then I'm going to teach you how to take your skirt block and turn it into an A-line, or turn it into a tiered skirt, or turn it into a pleated skirt. I'm going to teach you how to add a waistband. I'm going to teach you how to add different kinds of pockets, slits, mitered vents, kick pleats, different style lines, adding ruffles, you name it. I'm going to teach you all about all the different components to skirts. And then later on, you can design whatever skirt you want and then draft the pattern for your skirt, the skirt you designed, because you have learned all these separate components on how to put together your own skirt. So I'm going to be teaching you components, building blocks for your designs. Secondly, I want to approach pattern making a little bit differently than some other people do it. Like almost every fashion school and almost every pattern making book starts with the bodice, whether it's women's or men's. FYI, this class is going to start with women's wear. I don't understand why people start with the bodice. I think it's just a default, okay? Because I have thought about it, and over the course of my experiences with pattern making, there is no real good reason why we have to start pattern making with the bodice. There's nothing about it where that is mandatory, okay? And I happen to think that the bodice is the hardest part of the body to fit, like the subtleties of the armpit and the underarm, and how to fit around the breast after you go in for the armhole and then you go out for the breast and then go in for the waist, and fitting around shoulder blades and pectorals, all those things. It's a lot of ins and outs and a lot of fit issues, whereas skirts are very easy to fit. I'm not saying there's no fit issues involved with skirts, but they are much easier to fit. You just have the waist and the hips, basically, for most skirt styles. And sometimes not even the hips when you get skirts like big gathered skirts or circle skirts. You don't have to even worry about the hip measurement there. And so we're going to start with skirts because it is the easiest category of garment to fit. Okay, easier than pants, where you have to worry about fitting around butt cheeks and making sure you don't have camel toe and all those things. Easier than bodices, easier than coats and jackets. So we're going to start with skirts, because especially if you are new to pattern making, you are already going to have your brains and hands full with how to draft simple patterns, how to mark darts, what darts are, how to use all the tools and how to label them correctly, how to mark your grain lines, what notching is, where to notch, all the notching guidelines, what is walking the pattern, what is truing the pattern, what all these things mean that I will teach you in my class. So while you're learning all the pattern making basics, to try to learn how to fit the most nook and cranny part of the body doesn't make any sense to me. So we're going to start with skirts. We're going to learn all the pattern making basics and apply them to the easiest category of garment, which are skirts. And then once we are more advanced and got the rhythm of pattern making and are understanding bodies better, then we're going to move on to the next category, which will most likely be trousers. Since we're already down there and we've already learned more about butts and waists and things. So, but we'll probably do a poll. I like to poll my students to make sure that they are getting the class that they want. So those are all private Patreon polls. Okay, so that's going to be my class. Okay, it's a class for designers. It's a class for beginners. But I think that even people who are a little bit more advanced will have a lot to learn because, I mean, unless you already know all the components, then I guess not. But it is like a really great class for beginners because I teach the class pretending you don't know anything, that we're all doing pattern making from scratch. That's the kind of class it is. So the basics, the first class is Friday, January 20th, and every subsequent lesson will be posted on Friday. They are a series of video lessons and it's self-paced. So you can go at whatever pace you need. And if you can't join us on January 20th, if you have to come a little bit later, that's fine. You can show up later and still go at your own pace because I answer questions left in the comment section of all the old lessons. I'll still be keeping up and answering your questions along the way. So don't be afraid to show up later and start your lessons then. Okay, if you have any questions, drop them in the comment section below. If you want to sign up, go to patreon.com/Zoe Hong and click on the pattern making class tier. The link is in the description box. I hope to see you there.